Hello, Sandy Erickson with Realty Group, and I'm excited. I'm joined here again with Gary Raker, and we are going to be talking about a topic that we hear quite often, and that is how do you know if you can buy versus rent?
Yep, super excited to be here. I don't know if anyone saw our last video, the top 5 things you can do to get your offer accepted in this market, but really happy to share that and then some new information about buying versus renting.
Excellent. So we know in the seller's market that home values are going up, but we also know that rental rates are going up. So the question that we of course hear is, can I buy? Should I still rent? Should I save up money and buy later? So we know there's kind of 3 factors that people should consider when they should decide whether or not to buy versus rent. So their financial, the market conditions, and then their own personal situation that might impact, again, whether it makes sense to buy or rent. So take it away, Gary. The first one is financial. Talk to us about that.
So obviously, a home is most people's largest purchase in their life, and what people factor in, when going to buy a house, it's important to factor it in, is the fact that you get to build equity and build your net worth through, as you make your payments and the home appreciates and the value goes up. Really helps you feel your next home purchase and your financial goals. More specifically, the financial benefits of home ownership come with tax savings, the appreciation with the rest of the market, the access to equity for large purchases, emergencies, things like that. And then I think the most important point is a defined monthly payment for the length of the ownership that won't go up like rent would go up. You know what your payment is the whole time you have the loan.
All right, no, that makes absolute sense. So when it comes to the market conditions, how would that impact somebody's decision on whether to buy versus rent, would you say?
Yeah, definitely the market conditions should have to be considered before deciding, do I buy a house or do I rent a house? Really looking at how much you can afford monthly for your house or housing budget, and then seeing what that would get you when you buy a house and seeing how much it would get you when you rent a house. Because with interest rates still being historically low, you'd be surprised at how much you can afford of a house, the size, the location, and most people would be surprised at how much they can afford in a house.
All right. And then the final thing to consider, and honestly the most important, I think people think of buying and selling homes as a financial transaction, which it is, but it's also where we live. And so it's really personal. So what would you say that people should consider when they think about renting versus buying when it comes to their own personal situation?
Yep, definitely. If financially you're able to, the market conditions are right, then some of the last things you want to think about are how long are you going to be in the current house. Most people live in their house 5 to 10 years. So if you're planning on that time frame, it could be a good idea to buy. If you're planning for something shorter than that, then you might want to look at renting. The big thing I like people to keep in mind, though, in rental situations, there's always the risk, especially if it's a townhouse or a single family house, the risk that the landlord sells the property and now you have to move at a not so ideal time and scramble to find your next rental or purchase something. So buying a home and home ownership can actually bring some flexibility and opportunities that renting can't.
All right, well, thanks for joining, Gary, again. We know that it's a big decision, both personally and financially, on whether to buy a home. So we do offer a personalized appointment to kind of help you decide if it's the right fit for you. We can even use a tool, which is basically a rent versus buy calculator that helps kind of dig into the financial side of things as well. So again, here to be a real estate resource for you. And thank you so much, Gary, for joining us once again. And we will see you next time.
Perfect. Thanks for having me, Sandy.